Hello, 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 and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Tremor, and today we are going to continue with the Programming 101 series, and we are going to talk about data containers, specifically about lists and arrays. And I would say, without further ado, I'm going to put myself into the bottom right corner. So, what is a container? Up until this point, we were only dealing with like single values. So we declared like an integer variable, for example, a, and gave it a value 1. And then we printed that to the console. And if we run this, we should see the value 1 in the console. Yeah. But what if we want to deal with a set of integer values? For example, 5 of them. And we want to print all of them to the console or sort them. Well, that's where containers come into play. So let's just start with arrays, and you might have heard about an array already. It's a contiguous data storage, meaning that the values are all laid out one after each other in the memory. There is no space between them. How do we define an array? That's very simple. We just start with the data type it's supposed to contain, then the name of the array, I just call it int array, and then the number of values that it is supposed to store, and those go into these rectangular brackets, and we say here that it's supposed to store 5 values. And that's basically it already. And I'm just going to write a quick for loop to loop over the elements in the array, and then I'm going to copy this line in here and change it up a bit. So I cut the video here so you don't have to watch me type this out. I'm going to go over it really quick. So we print value at array position I, and then the value at that position. And how that works is I is the index here. And we say that the loop is supposed to run as long as I is smaller than 5. We start at 0, and then we just say value at array position I, which is the current position, is, and we get the value by just typing out the array name and I within these brackets, and that is the syntax for accessing an array element. So the compiler gives us like a warning here that there are values inside of the array which are not initialized, and that is correct because we didn't do that. And it's really easy to do. We just say equals, and now we type out the values we want to have in there, and we just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now that compiler warning should vanish. And if we run this, we get 5 prints, and that is value at array position 0 is 1, and so on. And you might wonder why we start at 0. It's called zero indexing, and it's pretty much the way how you do this in computer programming. Every programming language I know will start an array at position 0. That's just like a convention. So if we want to change the value of an element inside of the array, we can do that the same way. We can just say int array at position, let's just say take 0 equals 99. And if we run the program again, we should see instead of a 0, we should see a 99. So we saw in line 21 how to declare and define an array. We saw how to change a value, and we also saw how to loop over an array, print the values. But what if we want to remove a value here? Well, that's not really possible. We can set them to 0, for example, or -1 is like an invalid value. But we cannot say change the size of the array from 5 to 3. That's just not possible. Like, the array is fixed. It cannot be changed during the runtime of the program, and that's very important to keep in mind. There are different program language specific implementations of arrays, which wraps an array and gives it more functionality. But like the base array, like the good old plain array, is like fixed size. You can only set elements to like an invalid value. That's one of the main disadvantages when you use arrays. So the second data container I want to talk about is the unordered map. They are not based on an index like the array is, but they are based on key value pairs, which you really have to imagine as a pair, which is separated by an equal sign. So you have a key on the left side, which could be, for example, a string, name equals, and now the value, say tremor. A key value pair can also be 1 equals 6, so that they don't have to be like strings specifically. They can pretty much be any data type. How do you define them? In C++, you use the container type unordered map. And now you define the data types of the keys and of the values. In our case, we will use strings. So the key is a string and the value is a string as well. And we call this thing UO map for unordered map. How do you insert key value pairs in there? You say UO map. It's a function. We call it with opening, closing parentheses. And don't worry about these curly brackets here now. That's something C++ specific. And we just say key is, for example, name. And the value is tremor. And now we duplicate that a couple of times. So how do we remove an element here? It's very easy as well. We just say uomap.erase. And we can give a key. Let's say we want to remove the key street. And we can also loop over this list. We can say, and this is a bit C++ specific now, so I'm not going to iterate what these terms mean. I'm using here, we just loop over this list, and this for loop enables us to get every pair which is in the list, the key value pair. And now we can print them by accessing those keys and values, and we just say key is, and then we go pair dot first. First is always the key. And we duplicate this line and we say value is pair dot second. And if we let this run, we don't see street in here because we removed it before the loop. We could just take this here and copy it a couple of times and then change the key, because each key can only be stored once. And here you can see the order again, or the non-existing order, like city 4 is actually before city 1. And that's really it for those two container types already. I thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, then hit the subscribe button and like the video. Next time we will do another programming exercise, and that's also the reason why I did the container lesson today, because we need them for that. And I wish you a nice Sunday and a good start into the week, and we will see us next time. Bye bye.